Okay, so today we're going to cover Sphere of Influence, modules 1 through 3. There's actually a total of 6 modules. I'll touch a little bit on 4, 5, and 6, but those will be all in Backagent. So if you go to the Backagent site, on that platform, there's a area that says Learning and Resources, and these are all on there. So if you lose your ones you have tonight that you put notes on, you can always go in there and find those to refer to. So number one, I guess the most important thing is to realize now that everybody's gotten out of real estate school, passed your test, got that monkey off your back, you still don't know how to make money in real estate, right? So nothing in class taught you. And if you've been relatively new, you're starting to realize that nobody knocks on your door and says, by the way, are you selling real estate? Because I want to buy it, right? There's a huge difference between being a real estate broker and being a sales clerk, right? My mother-in-law was a sales clerk at Carson Prairie Scott for 35 years. But that doesn't mean she ever sold anything, right? Because people walked up, she took their stuff and rung it up. There's a huge difference between being a sales clerk and a salesperson, right? And being the one that creates the deals, creates the opportunities, promotes yourself. And again, that's what you're going to be doing. Everything that you're going to be doing is about promoting yourself, okay? Village Realty is not anything more than your umbrella, right? So we are the ones that we're here for you when you need us. We're going to provide tools and resources for you, support, education. We're going to help make you the most professional you can be at your job, but you're promoting yourself, all right? You're an independent contractor. I want you building your following, right? Your business for yourself. So that means when you're talking to people, I love when people have anything going on that promotes Village Realty, right? And you need a certain amount of it to stay legal, but remember you're promoting yourself, all right? So a sphere of influence is what? Who can tell me what an actual sphere of influence description is or definition is? Anybody? All right, then I'll tell you, okay? So it is if someone mentions you by name, would the person they're talking to be able to recall you and state that they know you or had met you before, okay? So that means anybody that you maybe went to high school with, college with, previously worked with, sat in the stands while your kids played baseball, football, soccer, whatever it is, from church, from any other group that you go to, if they know you and have a connection with you of any kind, and sometimes it's by face, you won't remember somebody's name, but they'll remember your face. That's why you put your picture on your cards, your picture on everything you do, because the number of people that actually know you by face is greater than the people that know you by name. But then there's going to be people that know you by name, but they've never actually seen you or met you. So it's a combination of both. So if somebody could say, oh, I know that girl or I know that guy because of whatever, that is somebody in your sphere of influence, okay? And what we're looking to do is develop the relationship with the people in your sphere of influence and then use that to build a marketing department for your business, okay? Not for my business, for your business, okay? So there is there's several types of people in your sphere of influence, but the most important, or let's say the greatest and most valuable person in your sphere of influence is not even the person necessarily that's going to buy from you, right? Because let's face it, if you know 5 people that are without a doubt going to buy from you when they buy or sell a home, how often do they buy or sell a home, right? Not that often. Sometimes once or twice in a lifetime, right? But if you have those same 5 people and they become your advocates, and now they are telling people when they hear them saying, oh, I'm looking to buy a house or I'm looking to sell a house, and they say, oh, you gotta call my girl or you gotta call my guy, they could get you a deal every month as an advocate, okay? So the value of your sphere of influence is not how many times will they buy from you, right? Or sell with you, or rent from you. But how many times will they refer you? Okay, and that's why you're not selling them. A lot of people are going to say, I don't feel comfortable trying to sell or ask my sphere of influence, my friends, for business. I don't want to be that salesperson. That's not what we're going to teach you to do. That's not what we're asking you to do, okay? We're asking you just to become that trusted professional, that resource that they need. They need that person. People they know need that person, and they're going to use somebody. Whether you speak up or not, they're going to use somebody. So the question is, do you speak up and make money, or do you keep your pie hole closed and you starve? So we're going to talk about always marketing yourself, okay? So there are several different ways you can do that. There are several different ways you can assemble the information. There is no one way or handful of ways that is absolutely correct. So you really can't do anything wrong. Everything you do, as long as you're doing it to market yourself and promote yourself and to keep yourself in front of people, is a good thing. And when Carrie starts a couple classes from now, you'll have a class with Carrie, and she'll do some role playing with you, but she'll make you start thinking about what are your 10 activities that you're going to do on a monthly basis to promote your personal business, okay? And we've got 15 people in here today, and if you take what each one of you come up with, you'll probably have 30 or 40 different things that are being done, because everybody's going to have something a little different. And even if you have the same things, the way you do it's going to be a little different. So there is no perfect way, there is no right way, and especially in the world of real estate, nothing's ever perfect. So just start doing it, because the more you wait to do it, the harder it gets, and you just never do it, all right? And we want to immediately, I mean, literally today when you leave here, I want you to start thinking about, how can I promote myself based on what I learned today? What can I do to build my marketing department and my advocates based on what I learned today? This is something that you are now going to do every single day of your life, okay? It never stops. I'm coming on 30 years of sobriety, and when they told me when I was in the hospital in rehab that I wasn't going to be able to, drink or drug anymore for the rest of my life, I was like, it's impossible. Couldn't even imagine. And I tell you, you just got to do it one day at a time, right? So one day at a time, I've been doing it for 30 years. That's what this is. Real estate in your sphere of influence and marketing yourself is all about just doing it one day at a time, one step at a time. If you've got 5 people today, you want 6 people tomorrow. If you got 6 people tomorrow, you'd like to have 7 by the weekend. 7 by the weekend, have 8 by the time you come back to the next training session. I mean, that's all it is. It's nothing tricky. You just got to be on it and stay on it, okay? All right, so if we look at the modules, the very first one, and I'm going to probably bounce around a little bit, but that's just unfortunately the way I am. But I'll try to make sure I've covered everything. But most importantly is, don't let me forget to go over these numbers if I don't get to it. And don't let me forget, in fact, I'll do it now. Let me tell you about our CRM system, okay? So, since nobody jumped up with the answer to SOI, does anybody want to jump up to CRM? And anybody? Eddie? CRM, what is it? Close, I hear contact.
Calling it a CRM for years, I never bothered to think about it.
All right, so we'll just call it Customer Referral Management, or Customer Reference Management, or Resource Management. People call it by a few different things, but it basically comes down to your customer, your relationship, and the management of that relationship, okay? And I used to have these meetings and tell everybody, I don't care how you do it, you just got to do it. Put them on a notepad. You can put them in Excel spreadsheets. You can put them in Outlook. It doesn't matter, just start putting it somewhere. Well, now you can use a system that we pay for, the company pays for, and it's free to you. And that is, all you got to do is go to it, you log in on the website, and then it's going to ask you to log in, and then it'll give you your own password, and then it's all there for you, okay? And that is www.vrscrm.com, okay? With that, if you just look at it like pieces of a pie, right? So there's all these different pieces of the pie, and we're going to cover a lot today, but the first most important piece is to start putting your information, your people, into something that you can look at, all right? And then you'll figure out what you want to do to develop it and use it. But right now, let's just start creating that list of people, all right? And in that list, you'll see when you start using this, there's a million things that you could ultimately have on a person that you'd like to have as time goes on, but initially you need first name and last name, right? Cell phone number and an email address, and ideally it would be even better too if you have a home address, okay? Now as time goes on, you're gonna wanna have a birthday, maybe a wedding anniversary, hopefully the anniversary when they bought their first home from you, and then the anniversary when they sold that home, and then bought their second home. All these things you're gonna just keep adding and adding and adding. And every time you do something with them, you can track it on this. I mean, everything is there. It's an incredibly powerful program, okay? But you gotta walk before you run, so let's just start with getting your names in there, okay? Now, the average person has a couple of hundred people in their sphere of influence. Most don't realize that when you first ask them, and they might say, I got 30 or I got 40. But yet, if you take your phone and just look at your contacts in your phone, that is your single first best place to start. And you probably have a couple hundred or more, right? Or in the case of somebody who recently got married. There you go. Okay. So I know this wedding is going to be small, but you'll probably got a lot of people that are sending you things, and you're writing back to them and saying thank you. Start collecting that information. Or if you have a graduation party or a wedding where you've assembled a whole bunch of names and you're sending out invitations and you had all that information, that's a great thing to grab from. School lists of your kids' classmates or friends and parents. In sports teams, they always share rosters of all the parents, with the names and usually sometimes addresses, but at least names and phone numbers. So, you just start getting what you can get if you really know them. The most important thing, you got to have a name and you got to have a phone number, okay? Then you can just keep adding to it every time you talk to them. But in the same sense, if your kid was on a football team with 40 people and you got 40 names, but you're like me, and when you went to watch the game, you really didn't want to socialize with all his parents and you just wanted to hang out with the same 5 parents, maybe the defensive players, well, then you're just going to put in the ones that you feel like you actually got a relationship with, okay? You don't want to just say, oh, wait till Mike finds out I got another 40 I just put in there. But 35 of those people, when they ask them your name, they're going to be like, I don't know who that is. Don't water it down. Keep it as vital and valuable as possible. Because once you get it going, you're going to be spending a lot of time and energy to nurture this list, right? And you don't want to waste it on people you don't have a relationship with, okay? That's the equivalent of buying a list. A lot of brokers, when they first get licensed, they're really excited, and then the first thing they want to do is go spend money on a list and start sending stuff to people on a list that have no idea who they are. And everything that we will ever teach you, show you, and provide you will almost always be how you can make money for free, okay? You don't need to buy a list. What are you going to do if you do buy a list and send it to people who don't know you? What are you going to do? What are you going to offer to make somebody call you or choose to use you over somebody that they might actually know and have a relationship with? I mean, it's impossible. I mean, you could get a deal out of it, but it would be so much work, okay? We want to get deals by referral and only by referral. Another example of working outside of referral is we've had a couple horror stories with brokers that get somebody off the internet somehow that's looking to do something, but they have no relationship with them. And then the deal spirals out of control because, again, there's no trust. And now all of a sudden, this client that they got through social media thinks that social media is so important to this broker that now, in order to get something or change the outcome of a deal, he's going to threaten the broker with bashing him on social media, right? And now you got somebody brand new in the business that is trying to resolve a situation where he's done nothing wrong, or she's done nothing wrong, but now he's in defense mode because of opportunity he pursued or chased that was with somebody that they had no relationship with. And there's hundreds of horror stories like that I could share with you just over the last couple of years with our brokers. Because no matter what I say, even to all of you, you're still going to go do some of that stuff. And then you can share with me and I'll tell the next class. It just happens. Everybody thinks there's this magical bullet or way to do deals. And it is also really hard not to chase a deal when you hear that an opportunity exists. But just keep in the back of your mind, you want to do business with people that you know and that you trust as much as they want to do business with somebody that they know and trust, right? Because you're going to put a lot of time and energy into something. And you want to do that with some. I can tell you my son has horror stories from family, okay? Family and incredibly close friends that, you know, if you do enough deals in real estate or spend enough time, nothing will shock you, okay? You know, you shouldn't have to worry about family and friends being loyal, but you do, okay? And so if you have no relationship, there's zero loyalty. So just keep that in mind. You don't want to work with people you don't know, just like they don't want to work with somebody they don't know, all right? So concentrate, focus, and put your energy into your sphere of influence, okay? You've got the CRM, start using it. Like I said, if you just do nothing more than start putting some in there, or you can there is a step, I don't know it personally, but when you go to the CRM and register, it's gonna, over the next few days, send you some little tidbits, tutorials, videos, links of information. And one of those is uploading, and I think you can even search on there, like in the help buttons, uploading my contacts from your phone. Maybe get them in there and then go through it and clean it out. Say, okay, I can't believe I got 350. So let's go through it and clean it out, right? And then out. I mean, I got relatives who aren't even alive anymore still on my phone, and I don't take them out because it's like I don't want to, right? But I don't need them on my sphere of influence, right? They're not going to do anything for me. I got people in there that I met in business transactions or dealings 10 years ago. Got to get them out of there. You know, stuff from my kids' high school that you'll find that you can really, really narrow it down and just fine tune it, okay? And that's what you want to do. All right. Earning mind share. So what I'm talking about with all these people that are in your sphere of influence is you want to, obviously, number one, make sure that if any of them were going to buy, sell, or rent, that they would immediately think of calling you, okay? And trust me, when I'm speaking of family, you can't even be confident that if you let everybody in your family know that you're selling real estate, you can't even be confident that they're going to call you. Because they might have a good friend or somebody that they know from the neighborhood that is also in real estate, and maybe that person's doing a better job than you of staying top of mind or earning mind share, right? Earning that space in their head where they think about it. And you might not get it. And there's nothing more frustrating, trust me, because I've got this experience of going to a wedding only to sit at a table with an uncle that you thought was your good uncle, only to find out that he just sold his home for $750,000 because they were downsizing and bought something for $600,000, and he never called you. And you just missed a $1.3, $1.4 million opportunity Because I failed to stay in front of him, right? It's not his fault. It's my fault. Okay? Sure, he'd have called me if he'd have thought about it. Absolutely. I know he would have called me. But he didn't think about it because I wasn't staying in front of him. So that's how easy it can happen. And trust me, when that does happen, it will ruin the whole night for you. It might even ruin the whole week because it's brutal. Because you work so hard for opportunities that when that easy, simple, low-hanging fruit, you didn't get it, it'll really frustrate you. You're shaking your head. You lived it, right? You've already had one? Who was it?
My sister.
Your sister. All right, there you go. And she used somebody else to what? Buy or sell?
No, she actually thought she was for sale by owner, website for sale by owner, and looked her up on the MLS. I'm like, you're with a realtor. I could have given you that same deal. But you didn't run it by me first. You just went.
Well, and that is,
$450,000 sale.
I was going to say, that is, people think they're smarter than they are. That's something you'll find out. Everybody thinks that what a realtor does, number one, is charges them 5 times more than they should have to pay. Because all us brokers do is take some pictures, stick it on a website, put a sign in the front yard with our picture on it, and then we just sit back and wait. And then maybe we show up at the closing with a gift basket. And they're like, they can do that, and they won't have to give up any of their commission or any of their value of their home. And it's just not reality. Number one, most people that sell on their own, they'll get less for their home than the broker could probably get them through their knowledge and their resources of the MLS and everything else that they have to offer, okay? They'll take them through the whole process, which as you get going and start doing more deals, you'll find out that getting through inspections and getting through loans and all that is a painstaking process, and experience matters, okay? And a homeowner that's gonna do their own transaction is much like an attorney that's gonna represent himself, right? It's a terrible idea. Everything is emotional, okay? The reason you use a professional is because there is no emotion. It's factual, it's black and white. What makes the most sense? If I'm fighting something out with somebody in a legal case, I don't handle it. I have an attorney that tells me, Mike, you're wrong. Or Mike, at the end of the day, yes, you'll win, but it'll take 2 years. So let's bring this to an end now. Or, you know what, this is crazy. Let's find. I need somebody to tell me in their unbiased opinion what to do. And that's what real estate professionals are supposed to do for their clients, right? Now, number one, if they're buying something, we're free. They don't pay us a dime. We're paid by the seller. So anybody, number one, that's looking to buy a property or rent a property, you're free. So now if you don't get that, you've really missed the opportunity to earn space in their head. Because if they're not going to use you when you're free, there's a real problem. Now, of course, when they're selling something, now you are taking money out of their pocket, the way they look at it. For what? What are you going to give me? And that's over time. We'll train you more on how to explain that to them. But there's no doubt that a real estate professional for a home seller is the absolute best way to go. I don't care if they can get it done for free using some online service. It's going to cost them more money in the end. But it's our job to show them that, and our job to educate them on that, and our job to stay in front of them so that when they're thinking about doing something as stupid as selling it themselves, they bring it up to you and you're like, wait a minute, you're cuckoo. Let me tell you why. And then they're like, oh, wow, thanks. I appreciate that. I didn't even think about those things. Because they don't,
They paid like $2,000 up front for it.
Yeah. And no guarantee it even sells, right?
I'm like, I could have
So-
given you that deal.
Yeah, so that's on us. So that's all part of the staying in front of your sphere of influence, okay? Okay, so how do we stay in front of our sphere of influence? I'm going to teach you a way or several ways that will make it incredibly simple, effortless, and very nice to see ways to stay in front of your sphere of influence. And that is our goal of keeping in contact with our people in our sphere of influence 40 times a year. Okay. Now, how do we keep in contact with somebody 40 times a year? Sounds like a lot, right? And it sounds like we're going to be a real pain in the butt, nag, nuisance that they're not going to want to hear from, talk to, or deal with, right? I don't want somebody reaching out to me 40 times a year because I don't like talking to anybody. So how are you going to do that and have people glad to hear from you and want to promote you and be your advocates? Well, we're going to call them 2 times a year. All right. So of your 40, 2 times is going to be a phone call. And as you develop your sphere of influence CRM, you're going to try to get their birthdays. So obviously the birthday is always one of those times you want to call them, right? Very easy. And you can also keep it incredibly short. Trust me, nobody wants to talk very long, but they love to hear from you. And you just say, hey, again, we're not selling them something, right? These are people that know us, like us, and trust us, and they're friends of ours. So really, when I talk about trying to turn these people into advocates and earning space in their head that they think about us for being their realtors for life, primarily that is because we are going to be one of their best friends or family members. I sat at a kitchen table about 1.5 years ago with a dozen of my family members, and somehow they got on the subject of my son, and each one of them wanted to argue about how they are the closest with them because he sends them a text every 2 weeks. And they're like, well, he does me too. Well, he does me too. Well, me too. And then they all start realizing it's the same text. But you know what? They still like them, and it means something to them, because when he sends them a text, so that's the contact on here for emails. One of the 26 of the 40 contacts, instead of emails, everywhere in these documents where you see emails, scratch it out and put texts. 26 of your contacts are going to be a text, a simple text. And the reality is everybody has their phone on them almost all the time. They take it with them in their car. They have it on their bed usually when they go to sleep. Mine's on my bed with a charger, because who knows if there's a family emergency. My wife's worried about her parents. I'm worried about my dad, worried about our kids. So it's always with us everywhere we go. Vacation, work, car rides, sporting. So the simplest thing you can do is just send off a text. And again, of these 26 texts, which is basically once every 2 weeks, we're not talking about saying, hey, don't forget I'm in the real estate business. I really, 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 really need a deal. So do you want to buy something today, sell something today? Do you know anybody who wants to buy something today or sell something today? I really, 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 really would appreciate it. That's not what we're talking about, okay? Now you're becoming a salesperson. You're becoming somebody that they don't want to talk to, and you're not building a relationship. Now you're just a nagging salesperson. And that is not what we want to be, right? We just want to be that trusted professional that they instantly think of. So we have these quick facts, and in this quick facts, which they're in the resource center, they're also on Back Agent. There is a list that actually Michael put together of 26 different texting opportunities, okay? Every other week, what to text about. Now, texting can be a pain, and I hate texting in groups because what happens if you text somebody in a group? I've got a family group text, and I lose my mind every time my wife sends off something, because then for the next 2 hours, as everybody's responding, I'm getting included in, okay? So that's not gonna work. You can't do a group text. So now you're talking about, you're gonna text every single person one at a time. That's a lot of work too, right? Nobody wants that. So there are apps available. There are 2 different apps. If you have an iPhone, the app is called Hit Up, HITEMUP. That's what I have. I've got an iPhone. I love it. I think it's $10 a year. Okay?
Just say that again.
HITEMUP. And then if you have an Android, It is called WhatsApp. WHATSAPP. I don't think it's quite as user-friendly maybe or inexpensive as the iPhone version, but they both do the same thing. And what these do is, so let's pretend you've got 210 people, because that's what I want everybody to work towards. 210 people in your sphere of influence, okay? You want to come up with 10 groups of 21 people, all right? Because there are 10 business days every 2 weeks, right? So you want to basically have Monday 1, Tuesday 2, Wednesday 3, Thursday 4, Friday 5. And then Saturday, Sunday you don't text. And then you got Monday 6, Tuesday 7, Wednesday 8, Thursday 9, Friday 10. Those are your 10 groups. So however many people you have in your sphere of influence. If you've got 10 people, you're going to put 1 in every day. If you've got 100, you're going to put 10 in each day. Okay? Now you only have to come up with a text, a content of a text, once every 2 weeks. Because you're going to send the same text to every single person for 2 weeks. Because they really don't know what you sent the day before, and it doesn't matter, right? So that's just how you're going to stay in front of everybody and keep it friendly and keep it fun. So how do you do that without it becoming pushy? Well, so this was Michael's summary list, and you can all find this, but I'll just read them to you real quick. You can hear. So Memorial Day, then Father's Day, 4th of July, and then personal photo, okay? So what's the personal photo? Well, he doesn't have kids, he's not even married, but he's got a dog, right? And he sends a picture of his dog, or one day I think he even had a Village Realty hat on the dog or something. I don't know. Just said, Rocky says hi. So it doesn't say, Rocky says hi, you should buy a home from me, right? It just says, Rocky says hi, but it's got the Village Realty hat. I know some moms will go out and take a picture of their kids in front of a yard sign that they just put in the ground and say, kids love helping their mommy. Doesn't say anything else. It just kids, and people love to see pictures of dogs, kids. You know, you get married and you have a little thing like that, and you take some pictures, and you could use those for your next couple of texts. You know, people that know you, like you, that are in your sphere of influence, want to see stuff about you, right? You're trying to deepen your relationship with them so that, like I said, they all think that you are their best friend or their closest family member. All 210 of them, right? I only got 3 kids, 3 boys, and I would hope to think that every one of them thinks I'm the favorite, okay? That they're the favorite, I should say. Right. Yet they will all also say that they think somebody else is a favorite too when they want to get something out of me. But the reality is we want everybody to feel that way, right? So then he's got Labor Day, NFL season, something about Chicago Bears, a fall seasonal picture, a personal photo, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year, New Year's Eve, something about the cold weather, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day, March Madness, a personal photo, Easter, Mother's Day. Okay? Now, what I didn't mention was in there, he has 4 where it says business card referrals. Okay? So, and you can stick them wherever you want. And that, so out of 26 texts throughout the year, he basically once a quarter is going to try to put something in front of them just to remind them that he's in the real estate business. And basically just say, you know, if you ever need help with anything real estate related, or if one of your friends or family members ever needs help, don't hesitate to give them my card. I'll treat them like family. I'll give them professional service. I'm here to help. Not I want to make $7,000 off of them, right? Mm-hmm. I'm just here to help. Don't forget that that's what I do. Uncle Dave, Uncle Pat, you know, Aunt Marianne, whatever it is, right? I don't want to come to the wedding and find out you just, you know, forgot about me. So that's how you stay in front of them. And then you can also remind them. So what I've got is I've got my business card in my phone as a favorite, because when you're out to dinner or you go somewhere, you know, we never have business cards. I don't care what we say. We're going to give you 1,000 business cards when you sign up for us. Maybe you'll use them, or like some people, you'll use 20 of them and then the box will sit there forever. The reality is once you've taken one picture of your business card, you may never need another business card. Because when you're out somewhere and you want to give them a business card, you don't have it, you know what I do? I say, I'd love to help you. You know, give me a call on Monday and I'll help you figure out what your house is worth so you don't leave any money on the table because you want to sell it by owner. No problem. Let's make sure you list it for the right price. And then I hand them my phone and say, here, text it to you. I'll put my photo in there and I'll forward it so it's in Messenger and then I'll give it to them. Go ahead. And then when they hang up, when they get all done, and then right away I'll go in there and put who it was. I got an Uber ride in Chicago last week and the guy's name was Neil. And he was talking about wanting to do something in Crete, moving to Crete by his girlfriend. So I said, I'd love to help you. When we got done, before I got out of the car, I handed him my phone. I said, text my card is in there. Send it to you via text, and then we'll talk. If I do nothing else, I'll probably never hear from him again, right? Never. But now that he's got my card, he knows who I am. And now that I've got his phone number, I know who he is. I'm going to call him, okay? And so you can do that with people you're just meeting for the first time or do it with family. So on the texting, send them a picture of your card once every 4 times a year and just say, again, you're just here to help and please save my card so you have it if anybody ever needs help and share it with them. And hopefully they'll do that and then they'll have it when they actually meet somebody. Because the reality is just like you might not have a card when you meet somebody, although I'd like to think you would, but expecting people in your sphere of influence or even people that are advocating for you to have your card when that opportunity comes up, highly unlikely. But you know they're going to have their phone, right? We just got done talking about phones go everywhere. So get your card, your picture of your card on their phone, right? So that's another thing you can do as part of those 26 texts. So think about that. So we've got 2 phone calls a year, once on their birthday. Everybody loves that, right? And then the other one, I don't think I covered it, but typically I say on the holidays, right? So you got basically anywhere from Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. So you got like 3 months that you can call your, I'll say 210 just because that's the number we're talking about today. But so, you call 1 or 2 people a day for those 3 months, you're going to get a personal contact done with everybody in your list. And then you do birthdays, there's your 2 contacts. 26 texts. Those texts are going to take you probably 5 minutes when you do the first one for 2 weeks. And then it's just going to be a matter of group 2 because you're going to sort these in groups.
How do you sort them in groups though?
You put group names.
In your phone?
Yeah, no, on the app. So in the app, it's going to ask you. So I got groups, family groups. I got different work groups. I got my broker group. I got a student group. I got a vendor group. I got a anniversary party group because we're celebrating that at the end of August. So I've got a 30th wedding anniversary party that we're having. And it was time for me to do that group. And all I did was went to my group called She Said Yes, which was when my son got engaged. And I just changed the name. I took a couple people off, put a couple people on, but most of it was there, right? And you'll find you can do that. And that's the same thing. You're going to have this texting list and you're going to keep adding to it. And you might also take somebody off because they're just a waste of time and energy, right? You realize that there's nothing you can do that's going to make them an advocate for you. And that's just part of the one day at a time, ever evolving part of working your sphere of influence, your CRM, okay? And then the other 12, so we're at 26 and 2, so we're at 28, and our goal is 40 contacts. So 12 is our magic number. That's once a month. And we have programs for postcards. You don't have to do that. You can do anything that you come up with. All I can tell you is handwritten notes are the single most effective thing you can do. They're also the single most difficult thing to do and do on a regular basis. And everything about your sphere of influence is about consistency, okay? You can't start texting somebody every 2 weeks for a month and a half or 2 months and then stop and then kick back in when you're bored because it's wintertime, do it for a month, and then a couple months go by. You gotta be religious and stick to it and stay consistent, okay? Same thing with the phone calls. If you're gonna call them on their birthday this year, you better call them on their birthday next year. Because otherwise, you've done the exact opposite. Instead of developing relationships, you know, I do the same thing actually with my wife all the time. I've got only a handful of people that'll call me. I get a lot of texts or a lot of things on Facebook on birthdays, but I've got like 5 people that will actually pick up the phone and call me. And they've been doing it my whole life. And when somebody doesn't, I'll be the first one to say, my wife, guess they didn't call me this year. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to, consistent. That's what you want to do, okay? Now, the postcards, and we'll get into this more later. I don't want you even thinking about this yet. I just want you to know that it's there. The postcards, it's another system. We also can do things through the CRM. And we've got different things that are incredibly cheap. Everything that you'll ever do with our office, you'll find I don't mark up anything, okay? You already know, and the reason you're here is because we don't charge any fees, right? I don't look to make money off of you unless you're making money, okay? A lot of franchises, a lot of brokerages, every time they're telling you to do something, it's because every time you do it, if you're buying something, they're making money off you, okay? So when I turn you on to something, whatever it costs, you'll just deal with them direct. I don't get nothing. I don't want to make anything on that. I want you to just sell more homes, right? List more homes, work with more buyers. So everything we always pass down at cost. But to give you an example, if you started at the minimum, which is 50 people, you're talking about $40 a month. And for $40 a month, postcards go out every month, month after month after month after month. And, you know, they're all just nothing special, right? What do you think? What is that one for? Thanksgiving, right? And Christmas, right? So there's nothing special about the cards. On the back of it, though, every single time it goes out, it's got your picture, your phone number, right? Not mine. Your website address, not mine. Okay, whatever else you wanted to say. This one on Steve Kuyawa's example, 29 years of experience and know-how market knowledge will work for you. Got his cell phone number on there, buy, sell with confidence. And the reason I have these is you get them back, right? If the addresses you have are no good, we're gonna get it back and then you can clean up your list. So whenever these come back, I take a picture and send it to him and then he cleans up his list and then I just keep them for samples. But it's another great way to know that your list is good, right? And again, if you start with 50, which is your minimum to be a part of the program, and let's say you set it all up and you do it for the month of August, and then you want to add 10 a month, and you forget in September or you forget in October, it don't matter. Add them the next month. But the people that were in it, the original 50 or 60, they got it again in September and August. It goes out every month, guaranteed. You can set it and forget it, as long as your credit card keeps working. All right? Because they're going to charge you before they ship them. But if you set it up, it's the easiest thing in the world. And again, these postcards are not going to get you listings. These postcards are not going to get you buyers because there's nothing on here. There's not even a call to action really, right? But what you're doing is it's another thing that is keeping you on top of mind, right? Maybe your sister, if she'd gotten these for 2 years straight, would have never thought of using anybody else, right? Or maybe my uncle would have called me and said, hey, you send me those cards every month. I guess it's paying off because I'm going to sell my house and buy a house. And be like, great, let's go. So it's a very simple, inexpensive way to do it. So there you go. 26 texts, friendly, family, best friend type of approach. 12 postcards reminding them that you're a professional in the real estate business, and 2 phone calls to develop and deepen your relationship. That's going to give you 40 contacts with the people in your sphere of influence. All right. Now, there's lots of other things. I'll just show you real quick that we have lots of access to, but you know, you got Here's somebody doing magnetic calendars. Here's specialized Christmas cards. Here's a handwritten note with pictures. I shouldn't say handwritten. They're printed, but they're just a little more personal. Thank yous. I know Eddie and my son, and I don't know, we have some other brokers, I just don't know which ones, are actually doing the American Lifestyle magazine. Now, this is a more expensive approach, but still very, very inexpensive for what you're getting, right? What do they cost, Eddie, you remember?
Like $50
$15 a month for 50 bucks, and how many do you got?
For like 100, it's like for 50 magazines. It's 100. I think it's 100.
$100 for 50 magazines, something like that.
It's a fair price. Though.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact price, but it is untouchable as far as what it is. And so there's your picture, okay, on the front of the magazine, okay, logo, but his phone number, his website, and then there is a little letter on the inside, and it's got his photo, and it actually says, "Dear Mike and Michelle." So each person in your list is getting a personalized letter in the magazine. Oh, Mike and Michelle, that's me and my wife. And he spelled her name right. Look at that, 1 L. Okay, but now we got something. Here it is. Over to all the different stories are different, but this is a personalized story about the kind of year he had, what he's learned. So these are great things. You've been doing personalized letters each time.
Yeah, I've been doing that.
Okay.
I stopped a couple months ago just to like save money.
Yeah, no, I get that too. And that's why this is something you want to work your way towards, okay? But it's just something to realize that it's great. Got a little tearaway card here, recipe, your card in the front. Again, another one in the back, more stuff with another tearaway card. You can do co-ops. My youngest son, Marcus, is very, very close, hopefully, to passing his mortgage banker license, and he'll be working with CME Lending. CME Lending is one of our preferred vendors. Marcus is going to co-op with brokers, so keep that in mind, Eddie, if you wanted to continue to go back on to doing this, where he'll split it with you so that the front is all about you, but maybe the back is, about him, okay? And that way you cut the cost in half, right? Because again, it's all about consistency, right? And money does dictate how much you can do of anything. I don't care what it is. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. These things are probably not necessary to talk about right now. But so that is just a handful of ways to stay in front of your sphere of influence. Now, again, that's only 3, okay? Carrie's going to expect 10. And it shouldn't be really a whole lot harder to come up with 10 than it is to come up with 3. Because one is going to be your Facebook, right? You all have, if you don't already, you should. All you got to do is work with the girls in the office, get it. You'll have a Village Realty Facebook page for yourself, and you can actually share listings that any of the brokers in the office have. So even if you have no listings, because you're brand new, okay, and an experienced agent has a listing that they just put up with the pictures, you can share it and say on there simply, "Call me for a private showing." Nobody is going to know why you are showing the house. That's yours, not yours, somebody else's. Doesn't matter. Okay? They're just going to say, "Hey, that's a nice house. I want to see it." Or they're just going to say, "Hey, you know what? That's too much house for me, but I'm going to call her or call him and tell them what I am looking for and ask them to set up a search." And you can put that on your Facebook. Want to know what your house is worth? Give me a call. You want me to set you up with a search? Give me a call. Anything that they want. You're just going to start standing in front of people. That's a way of doing it. So there's so many ways. Carrie is best at trying to help you identify all those ways. But just start thinking about what you're going to do to market yourself and to always be on, right? You always want your marketing department open. You're kind of like a 24/7 convenience store, right? You are always open, and you have to have a little bit of something for everybody, right? There is no one thing. You can't just be the hot dog stand or the barbecue rib stand or the coffee shop. You got to be everything for everybody. So that's why I'm saying there's no one thing that works. You got to have a broad stroke of things that you're putting out there. But don't be selling. Don't be pushy. You're just being friendly, loving, trusted professional. I'm here to help. I'm free if you're buying or renting. I'm almost like free if you're selling because I'm going to get you more for your house. So, you know, and do those things and you'll be surprised how it comes back. Okay. Now, the roller coaster. So let's talk about the roller coaster. I'm sure anybody who's been in the real estate business for a little while now, or maybe even while you were in school, had people that heard you were doing it tell you it isn't for you, right? They did it and they starved. They couldn't live from paycheck to paycheck, from closing to closing. It's just impossible, all right? And that's very true for a lot of brokers. Very true. But the way that happens for most people is they are not keeping their marketing department of their personal business open all the time, right? They start falling into the transactions and activities of a deal instead of marketing themselves all the time and then just letting the deals get done as they're doing that, right? So every day when you wake up, it shouldn't be, what do I have to do about my listing? Or what do I have to do to help my client find their home that they're looking for? The first thing you should be thinking about is, what am I going to do to market myself today? For whatever amount of time you decide you can give to your marketing, right? Personally. Then you find the time to do the work with the sellers and work with the buyers. Now, when somebody tells you they're starving or they couldn't make it, or you know you're never going to be able to find the kind of success without years of experience, it's just what people say to bring you down because they failed, right? And people that fail themselves love to tell everybody else that they're going to fail too, because it makes them feel better about their own failures, right? But the reality is, every person that fails is also this close to great success, but they don't keep at it, all right? And the thing to remember is, if you keep doing things consistently, you will find that success. One of my brokers, Paul Kobe is his name, he was in these rooms and doing all the training for months and always getting this close and never get the listing and didn't get the person to go with him and had a family member, I think, too, that disappointed. And he was so close to giving up. And me and Kerry both said, Paul, you just got to keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. He's like, how can I be doing great? I'm not getting any business. Because you're doing it. I see you. I see your Facebook. I see your mailings. I see your marketing. I see the things you're doing. Just keep doing it. And now he's on fire. Okay? He's absolutely on fire. He's got lots of buyers. He's got lots of sellers. He's got a pipeline of things going on. And it's only because he stuck to it. Okay? So the way most brokers start out, they're so excited to have finally passed the test that they let the whole world know that they did, right? So now you've basically gotten anybody that you come in contact with to know that you're in real estate. And more often than not, you will accidentally get an opportunity to help somebody buy or sell something. And then you stop doing anything to market yourself. And you spend all your time focused on looking at the MLS, looking at listings, looking at what's going on, what's things selling for. And you're so engrossed in trying to make this one transaction happen that by the time you finally help them find a house, and a month has gone by, or maybe more, maybe less, and then there's inspections, and then there's a loan process and approvals and appraisals, and now that the inspection's done, you got to go back and forth on what's going to get fixed, what's not. Now we're trying to get it clear to close with the lender, and a couple things go back and forth. It could be 90 days from the time you helped them from start to finish when they first came to you and said they want to buy something. And now you're like, woo, look at that, I got a check. And you're so excited. But now, what are you going to do? You're starting from scratch again. You've got no pipeline. You've got nobody thinking about you. You got nobody calling you. You're not helping anybody in any searches. You're not helping anybody determine what their house is worth. You haven't been planting the seeds, and you're basically starting from scratch. And then you're going to do it again. Now you're in panic mode. Oh my gosh, this check's already gone. The money was spent before the ink was even dry on the deposit slip. I got to get another deal. So you're scrambling and you're out there telling people, right? And guess what? You go through the same entire process, and that's another 90 days. Well, you can only do that 4 times a year. And that means you're only going to do 4 transactions a year. And unless they're big dollars, you can't live off of those, okay? So what you need to be focused on is every day you're marketing yourself, and during that time, you find the time to keep your transactions on target. Keep them moving forward, keep, things going towards close, but focusing on and concentrating on your consistent activities that you're doing to stay in front of people. And if you do that, your phone will ring. People are always amazed. I spend so much time on the phone, my ear usually hurts by the end of the day, okay? It rings all day long. Deals come to me, tenants come to me, buying opportunities come to me, sales opportunities come to me all day long. But that's because I've been doing this for 35 years. And my kids and my wife usually hate going out with me because it means detours to look at something. Every time we go somewhere, I'm always on, I'm always on. I want everybody to know what I do. I want to know what they do. And that's why people call me. And that's what you want to do. It's kind of like with politicians, right? I think that's even an example here, somewhere in there. If you were running for a political office and you went to a wedding or a party or an anniversary party like I'm having, and you were going to be with 100 people, you would make sure before you left that every single person there knew you were running for whatever that office was, right? I'm running for mayor of Moni, where I live, right? I'm running for mayor of Moni. I want to run this 2-mile square block area and figure out how to pave the roads. Okay? So vote for me. Well, it's the same thing with anything you're doing now. I'm not saying you go around to every one of those people and say, hey, here's my card. I'm a real estate guy. I can help you buy. I can help you sell. Hey, I'm free if you're buying. Well, don't forget me. Be an advocate for me. I love advocate. No, I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying make your way through the crowd. Talk to everybody. And for a lot of you, it's very easy to do that. And for some of you, it might be harder, and you got to get outside your shell, right? But if you know that any one of those people could be tied to a $10,000 check, it does tend to make it easier to walk around and just talk. I don't like being the mingle person because I do it all day long. So if I go somewhere, I usually want to just go back in the corner where nobody can see me. But if it's an opportunity to make money, I'll get out there and make sure that I see everybody and get in front of everybody. So that's what you want to do. That's the kind of person you want to be. And if you do those things, you will not live the roller coaster salesperson lifestyle, okay? So just think about that. Do I want checks regularly? Which again, they're never going to be regularly, but do I want a steady stream of checks? I got to market myself every day. Do I want to starve from check to check? Then only work with your sphere of influence when you don't have anything else to do. Okay, that's the difference. And everything that I'm telling you to do, you can probably do it. And I mean, here, let's just say, if I told you you could make $202,000 a year, everybody here good making $202,000 a year? Okay, would everybody work on their sphere of influence and marketing themselves for an hour a day to make $202,000 a year? I mean, now I sound like Seminar Mike, right? If you give me an hour today, I'll help you make $200,000 a year, right? Sounds too easy, but it's the factual reality, okay? I mean, I've got not single moms, but I got stay-at-home moms with children, 2-3 children. Actually, I've got a single mom that has a couple kids that's on our roster, and they're making a ton of money while they're working another job, some of them, raising kids, trying to keep their husband happy, dealing with school things, dealing with so many things, but they are dedicated, like their life depends on it, to marketing themselves every day on their 10 activities every month, and they do it consistently, okay? And there's nothing better than real estate for being able to find that time, right? There's nothing more flexible than real estate to find the time. And I know most of you already have another career, right? So this is a fill-in. And my goal for every one of you is that this career does so well that your other job becomes a distraction from this job, okay? And that doesn't happen at first. Like, don't get me wrong, you are not gonna make 202 grand this year or next year, okay? Unless something really lucky happens. You have to start, it's like being a farmer, okay? And you have to start planting seeds and working that field. And yeah, there will be months go by where you see nothing in return, but it will come. And if you stick with it and you stay consistent, you'll get a great growth of crops, and you'll be able to make money, and everything will be great. And all you want to do at first is be better than an average broker, right? And then you want to be better than an average broker, and you want to be a good broker. And then you want to be a good broker to a top producing broker. And then from a top producing broker to a great broker. You know, there are different levels. You can't go, I try to explain this to my youngest son, that when he gets his mortgage banker license, you're not going to make 200 grand your first year, even though you have those kind of opportunities in front of you. But what you want to do is start by saying, I want to do a deal a month, you know, or a deal every 2 months. And then I want to double it. Now I want, instead of a deal every 2 months, six of them a year, then I want to do one every month. So I got 12. And then I want to do one every other week. So now I got 26 deals. And pretty soon, if you keep working it, you're going to be expecting, naturally, to close a deal every month. I mean, every week, and then maybe more. So you can't go from here to here, right? It's all little steps, and it all takes effort. And more than the effort, it takes commitment. And you all shook your heads up and down that you'd give me an hour to make 200 grand. Now, who in here is actually licensed for more than 6 months? Okay. Now, how many of you are spending an hour a day marketing your sphere of influence? Okay. 1.5? 1.5 of you. So, and now you might not be seeing the results yet, right? Because you've kind of rededicated yourself since coming here. I don't know, were you working it as hard before you came here?
Yep.
Okay. So are you seeing the results of the things like I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
like to see more,
Okay.
but yeah.
Right, but you've seen enough to say that you can tell people it does work. I'm not selling smoke and mirrors, right? It is real.
I'm doing
It
it
is
on the weekends,
factual. Yeah. Oh, I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying when you want to commit to something, if you can commit to Monday through Friday, that's a great way to start. And again, if you stick to it and keep doing more things, it's going to just keep snowballing, right? It's like anything. If you stick to it, it will snowball. And good things happen to the people that work hard and stay consistent, okay? All right, so nurturing and growing, we already kind of talked about that. The fact that you're more popular than you think, that is just when you start trying to put your sphere of influence, your contacts in your CRM, as you work through this, instead of just going home and doing it based on what I said, work through these modules, because I'm just all over the place. Work through these modules, and it'll help take you through step by step, and you'll realize, you know, you're the person you take your clothes to for the cleaners, the place you get your car washed, the place you get your oil changed, the girl that does your hair, the girl on each side that does your hair. You know, there's so many people that you interact with and come in contact with that you could probably add to your sphere of influence that you would never think of until you actually take the time to work this. And again, you might not have all the information. Maybe you've only got the name. But like my daughter-in-law, my stepdaughter works at a hair salon. She is by far my greatest advocate. There is nobody right now that sends me more people that want to go to the real estate school, people that are brokers that want to switch offices, people that want to buy, sell, or rent, although now those all go to my son, but that hair salon is a hub of communication and activity. Everybody knows everything's going on in there, and they're all talking about it, And if somebody says something, she's got cards in her drawer and she is boom on it. You know, this is who you want to call. This is where you want to go. Nobody else. Forget everybody else. This is it. And it's that simple. I mean, I don't have to do anything because she's doing it for me. So people are calling me, and that's not even coming out of my hour, right? That's just by accident. So just keep working it, and you'll realize that there's so many people that you can add to it, and then just keep adding to them, and then try to get in front of them. Now, that being said, real quick, I'll touch on something that really has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but it's really incredibly important. If somebody gives you a referral, Chris, for a listing, and let's say I know you from high school, and I sent you my brother, and he is going to list his home with you, okay? And then you list it, and a couple months later, let's say right now it's July, in end of September he sells his home. What are you going to do for me for having referred him to you? What is your approach? Uh-huh.
Yeah. I thank you very much. I just talked to you about this because I had somebody who went to real estate school with me, get me a referral for a buyer, and then once we were under contract, by the way, I want a referral fee. I'm like, but you're not licensed, it's illegal. You know that, you went to school.
Right.
So I just said, thank you very much. You know, I'm sure the referrals will dry up, except that I just got another referral from the Facebook post of that house that she bought. So somebody else called the office looking for me for that, so that was nice. Might be my last one out of the whole deal too, I don't know. But
All right, so I'll give you an idea that I have. So the typical real estate broker doesn't do anything for the person that gives them a referral. Maybe says thank you until the closing. All right. So I referred my brother to her the second week of July. And because of that whole process, like we talked about, by the time it closes, it's the end of September. And then she gets a nice fat $7,000, $8,000 check and says, you know, I'm gonna send Mike a gift card. Right? By the time I get that gift card, I don't even remember what it's for. I mean, it's nice to get the gift card, right? But I don't remember what it's for. And now she's turned our relationship into a business relationship, okay? I'm getting rewarded for the fact she closed and made money. And that's not what it's supposed to be about, right? So what would be better is, as soon as you get the referral, do a handwritten note. And again, we give you access to these. They're free, right? They're blank on the inside, but they got everything on the front, the logo and everything. Take some of these, and when somebody gives a referral, do a little handwritten note on there. And if you know what they like, you know, send them a Dunkin' Donuts gift card. Or another easy thing is to send them a Visa gift card, because then you don't have to know what they like. And it doesn't have to be much.
But how is that legal? Like I say happy birthday?
It doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. Gift cards aren't gonna matter. $5, $10, $20.
That's what I do.
It doesn't even matter how much it is, because it's not about the money, right? It's just about the thought. And very few people will take that kind of effort. And I've got clients that, I'll tell you, at Christmas, I'll get gifts from people and I'll be like, oh yeah, okay, so that's a $55,000 box of nuts, because that's how much business I gave that person. So, you know, what is that about? And I'm actually kind of like unappreciative, you know? But if somebody sends me a gift card with a $5 Dunkin' Donuts in there and a little handwritten note, right after I did something like that, I'm like, that is nice. Right on. And usually I give the gift cards to my kids when I get home, because I don't know, but it's the thought, right? And it doesn't matter how successful or how much money a person has, they still appreciate a simple gift card, because it's more about the thought, right? And now I'm not saying that if the person sells or buys, I'm going to reward you, because that's not what I'm asking them to do, right? I'm just asking people to speak up for me. That's why I'm saying, if you do it right away, now instantly they know why they got it, and they remember it, and they're thinking, wow, this Chris, she's awesome. I love this girl. And then between now and September, they might send you another one or two people, because now they're on go. They're like, oh, I I love this girl. This is my real estate broker for life. You know what? I don't know that I'm ever going to buy something, but whenever I hear somebody doing something, I'm making sure she gets it because she appreciates my relationship and values my friendship. We're best friends. I'm her best friend in the whole world. She texts me every 2 weeks, right? She called me on my birthday. So that's the kind of things that you want to, and again, it's not about the money. I know some really successful people that are thrilled with a $5 gift card because it's the thought that matters, right?
You kind of keep a limit like under 25 or something like that, or.
Whatever you want.
I'm happy with $5.
Yeah.
I do
You know-
$5, and last time I was buying Dunkin' Donut cards, there was a mailman, he's like, what do you do that you're buying these? I'm like, well, I sell real estate, and this is a birthday present for referrals, basically.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, that's interesting. You got a card? I go, I said, I put one of my cards in one of the $5 ones and handed it to him, and he got another one for them.
So, just an idea, okay? So, when you have your 10 activities, I'm gonna give you a little cheat right now. When you are being told by Carrie to come up with your 10 activities, you've got 3 that I just gave you, right? Actually 4, because you got Facebook, sharing listings, offering services, and 5 referral gifts, handwritten notes, okay?
I didn't do the handwritten note with them.
Handwritten notes. So Brian Buffini is one of the coaches, one of the largest real estate coaches in the world. And we love him. He's an Irish guy. We do his webinars here a couple times a year. The whole office, anybody wants to come can come. You can go. He's got a podcast and a webinar. He's got a channel, all kinds of different things available. And he pushes everything about working by referral. Same things that I'm telling you about, right? And he will tell you over and over and over again that there is nothing more valuable than a handwritten note or a pop-in, he calls it, or a stop-in, seeing somebody, right? But those are the hardest things to do. So they better have a big bang for the buck, right? But if you're really trying to make a difference, those are them, you know. For example, I was telling you with your CRM, 1 year anniversary on somebody that bought a house, you can always pop in there, drop them off something, saying thank you, maybe bring them some buntinis or, you know, a little coffee cake or donuts. I mean, again, it doesn't have to be something elaborate. It's more about the thought.
And in a condo.
Same difference. They'll be home at night. So you're just trying to stay in. But again, like I say, those things take a lot of work. But as newer brokers, you've got time on your hands. So you can do those extra things. And then hopefully you'll get so successful that you'll have to have your assistant do those things later, right? But if you do those things now, hopefully that'll happen. That's the right thing to do. Okay, so we've talked about advocates. You're going to work to figure out who those are. If you've got 210 people in your SOI, how many advocates do you have? 5, 10, 20, whatever they are. Again, those are people that you know. If they hear somebody in a room talking about buying or selling real estate, they're going to make sure to speak up for you, okay? And those people won't know to do that unless you train them to, okay? So you got to ask them to. So start figuring out as you're working through your list who your advocates are, your best advocates. In fact, if you want, I'd even say when you get your 210, try to rank them, A, B, C, and D. And D means they're this close to being off the list, okay? And A's for advocates, right? And hopefully you want to keep adding to the list and you want to be bringing people up because you haven't been doing these things. So you don't have a relationship with them right now like we're talking about. But over time, a year of doing these things, you're going to be bringing people up. D's will be C's, C's will be B's, B's will become advocates, all right? The more advocates you have, the more your phone's going to ring without doing anything except your daily marketing. All right, then there's just sections in here to make you think about all the different people you do business with, right? So if you do business with somebody, you should never hesitate to ask them to do business with you or to recommend you if they can. These are just more different things. There are some scripts in here. Again, all these scripts are not to be used like where you're reading from them. They're to give you an idea of something that you want to say, how you want to say it. Okay? You still want it to come from you. And that's when you start making phone calls. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not asking you to start doing things like that right now. Okay? If you've been around for a while, you can start making phone calls. You've been around for a while, you should already be working on your sphere of influence. If you're brand new, just start assembling it. If you've been around for a while and you don't have your CRM put together, don't be lazy. Get your CRM going because it's free. And it's nothing better. Who in here has got their CRM up now? The VRS one? All right. And
Use it every day.
okay, so there you go. So, and it's very simple, isn't it? And
Nice.
it has way more. It's like my iPhone. I only know how to do a handful of things on it. It's way more powerful than I'll probably ever use it. Same thing with the CRM. I mean, you can do so much with it. You can set up reminders to do all kinds of things, weekly, monthly, birthdays, anniversary. I mean, it can do so much. And over time, you're going to keep adding it and doing more. But right now, just start using it, whether you're new or been around here for a while. Get it up and running, and just start using it, and you'll eventually you'll wonder how you ever did it without it. You really will.
After I left after I talked to, Carrie the other day, I started contacting people and letting them know that I was, signed on to a realtor and, to a company, I'm sorry. And I got someone that called me right away and said, hey, I know someone that's looking, to do something, why don't you give them a call? They're actually looking to rent, but it's at least some activity.
Hey,
Get a lot of leads from them.
rentals are, so here, there's two things about rentals. One is they pay the fastest, right? Because a rental, if they're looking to do something, they usually have a shorter time period. They usually have back end pressure. Like, I got to be out by the end of August, right? Or I got to be out by the end of July. So they will usually happen faster. So you get paid quicker. So there's nothing wrong with rentals. And that is another person that if you stay in front of them like this, they're gonna hopefully want to buy eventually. Because you're gonna keep reminding them, you're paying your landlord's mortgage. You're paying your landlord's mortgage. Interest rates are at all-time low. And right now, you can even probably turn some renters into buyers because they don't realize that they can buy and they don't realize what their payment would be. Most purchase payments, mortgage payments, are lower than rental payments on the exact same house. So they're looking for a 3-bedroom, 1-bath in Mokina that's going to cost them almost $2,000 a month in rent. They could probably buy that same house and have a $1,200 payment if they're capable of buying. And then if they're not, then you help them get into a rental, and then you coach them along the way, get them working with a lender, figure out where their score is, figure out what they need to do to get to a point where when their lease is up, they're going to be a ready, willing, and able buyer. So yeah, those are great. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said in the beginning, it doesn't matter what it is, we do it, no matter how small or how big, because opportunities come in all sizes. And whatever that opportunity is this time, even if it's a little small one, next time could be much bigger, right? I did a deal, for example, once on a rental for a girl that was, I don't know, 21, 22 years old, and told her father was going to have to co-sign in order to get approved. And it turned out her father was a monster. And I did a bunch of deals with him then. He ended up buying a house for his father-in-law. He ended up selling it. I mean, so you just never know where anything's going to go. So chase it all. And there is a great example of how you're doing it already, right? You're letting people know,
Yes.
and your phone's ringing. But when you start getting a deal, don't stop. Keep marketing and working, okay? All right, now I'm going to touch on a couple numbers real quick. But the first number I'm going to touch on is for a small dose of reality to ruin your wonderful session, okay? And this is not even in anything you've got right now. It's just something I'm going to read to you. And this is from the National Association of Realtors. And the statistics are 33% of newly licensed agents quit real estate after their first year. Okay, a third. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Got 12 people in here. So that means 4 of us aren't going to be here in a year, right? And you know why they're not going to be here in a year? because they didn't put their hour a day in to make 200 grand. They weren't consistent. If they had any transactions, they were a roller coaster broker. They couldn't afford, they didn't make enough money to stay in the business. And they agreed with what they had been told, that the real estate business is too hard, by another failure, right? So don't be that person that fails just because you don't put the effort in, right? Now, this one might be even scarier. 87% of us, so 9 of us here, will no longer be in the real estate business in 5 years. Now, I've been doing it 35, so I'm going to say I'm still in. But how many others of you are still going to be doing real estate in 5 years? Now, I would argue to say that if you're making 200 grand a year, every one of you will still be in it, right? But if you're doing 1 or 2 deals a year, and you're paying dues, and you got continuing education, and all the other nonsense that goes with it, it might not make sense to stay in the business. So that's why people do get out of it, right? So think about that when you wake up and trying to decide, am I going to do an hour today? I don't want to do an hour today. I'll do it another day. 90% of us, I shouldn't say 90% of us, but 90% of all real estate transactions, actually 89% of all real estate transactions in the entire country are done by 11% of the brokerage community. So that means out of all of the business that we're going to do in this room, one of us is going to do 90% of it, 89% of it. So, which one of you is that person, right? Obviously, somebody's going to be killing it. One of us is going to be killing it, right? One of us is going to be killing it. 4 of us are going to be out of the business. And another 5 or 6 of us are going to be struggling in the next 5 years. Or are we going to blow all these out of the water and just be that group that everybody's killing it, right? Because there is no real difference. The person that has the greatest level of success versus this person, it doesn't matter who has more knowledge about real estate, because in real estate, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So as soon as you put that into perspective, it equalizes the entire game. And you are capable of being here, because we all know a vast number of people, and they're all doing some kind of real estate business, and they all know people that is doing real estate transactions. So if we do these steps, we could all be up there, okay? Now, if you want to know what that means in money, right? I keep pointing over here. So 210 people in your sphere of influence is a very likely number for the great majority of you. Now, some people are going to be lower. Some people are going to be a lot higher. I've had some people tell me they get 650. Hey, awesome. I can also tell you that person that has 650 is a below average broker. I know brokers that will tell me they got 70, and that person could be an above average broker, because it still comes down to how well are you marketing them, right? But the National Association of Realtors, who takes our dues and figures out ways to spend it, spends a lot of money on research, and they have determined that throughout the country, with all the brokers that are out there, that for every 7 people in your sphere of influence, you will get 1 listing or buyer opportunity. Okay? Now, that is based on a certain number of contacts over the course of a year. And those contacts are 26. Okay? Now, I just told you how you're going to keep in contact with them 40 times, right? 26 texts, 1 every other week, 2 phone calls, and 12 postcards or mailings. So that's 40 contacts. So that's going to get you your 7 for sure, right? So if you have 210 people in your sphere of influence and do those activities, you should be able to get 30 transactions in the course of a year. Like I said, doesn't mean this year. You got to get that ball rolling, But let's say for 2021, maybe that means, half that number, maybe more than half that number. And in 2022, it's that number or higher. But if you do these things and stay consistent, you're talking about an average sale price, which this is on the low end, 250,000, okay, with a 2.5% commission, you're talking about $6,750. That's your gross. So again, you still got your split with me, with us. We're like we get a little taste. We're like the mafia, but 30 transactions is going to make you over 200 grand a year. And that's the first year that you could say that I've actually developed and worked this sphere of influence. So let's say 2020, you're not going to get there. And 2021 is the progression of getting there. In 2022, you finally have that year where you do these kind of numbers. Well, when you do that, I don't care what it is. Let's say that in 2020, you get 1 or 2 transactions. In 2021, you get a half a dozen, 5 or 6. You just gained yourself 8, 9, 10 maybe advocates. And I already told you, there's nothing more valuable than an advocate. So every month, every year that you're doing business, every transaction you have, you've now got a guaranteed customer for life if you stay in contact with them, right? And you've got an advocate, like your sister, even though you lost her maybe because she did her own stupid for sale by owner deal.
She's been making up for it.
I was going to say, turn her into your biggest advocate. Guilt her to death.
Oh, she
Right?
have to.
So, you can still turn a lemon into lemonade if you work it right, okay? So that's all I'm saying is if you do these things, it doesn't mean you're going to make 200 grand next year. I don't want anybody to be unrealistic and think that. Don't go buy a house based on this price, okay? But if you work these things, it is real, it's true, and it's actual. And for some of you, that number is going to be a lot higher. And for a lot of you, that number might be smaller. And some of you, you may never actually do a deal because you're not going to do the things we're talking about today. And the reality is, we are salespeople, like I told you in the beginning. We're not order takers. So nobody's going to knock on your door and say, I don't know what you do for a living. Any chance you sell real estate? Right? It doesn't happen. You got to go out there, you got to work it, and you got to make it happen. But if you do, these are tried and true factual numbers. And as you start working your sphere of influence, every time you find 7 people, you can all go home tonight and find 21, right? That means you should be able to get 3 deals, 3 leads this year of real buyers or sellers because of 21 people, all right? And then 21 should become 42. Now you got 6. And you just keep building it like that. Like I said in the beginning, small steps, forward progress, every week, every day, and it all adds up. And if we get together next week, which I'm not going to be running that meeting, and then I ask y'all how many worked your CRM and your sphere of influence and got up and running, and you all look down in a way, instead of saying, I did an hour every day, I've got 52, or I got 60, or whatever, especially when the first week you can just work off your phone and load them up. You should be able to start next week telling me what you're doing, and then taking what you learned next week and expanding what you're doing. And then the week after that, over the next 7 weeks, you're going to learn Mortgage 101. Okay, so you're going to learn how to do loans, not how to do them, but what to expect throughout the process. We're going to have a lawyer in here that's going to teach you some, real estate contract law, listing law, some ethics law. We're going to have an actual ethics session. You're going to do some role playing. I think Michael's going to come in here. He'll teach you how to do your listing agreements, your disclosures, contracts, how to upload a property on MLS. We've got a whole bunch of different things. So as it goes through, you're going to get all this knowledge to just help you be a real estate professional. Okay? But none of that is going to matter if you're not doing this. And then the last session, I'll close up your training, okay? And then we're going to talk about how to take this to the next step and how to implement your texting, how to implement the postcards, how to implement some of the things that you decided are going to be your 10 tasks that you worked on with Carrie, and then how to actually go out there and start making money, right? So you're all licensed and legal now, but that doesn't matter anymore. Whoop-de-doo. Now the question is, are you going to make money in real estate, or are you just going to be a statistic, right? And our goal is to make sure that every single one of you are closing deals and making money. And if you don't believe that, just look at the way I set the company up, right? I don't make a dollar unless you do, okay? Nobody has a single fee. There are no charges of any kind, and I pay for everything. So I'm already invested in you with websites, cards, magnets. I pay your E&O insurance. I got you an IDX website, which, what does that mean? That means your website is linked to the MLS. So that is another thing to keep that in mind when you're talking to people. So you got the front of your card and then the back of the card, right? And then the back of the card, it should say, search the MLS 24/7 for free, and it's got your website address on there. Realize that nobody on any website has anything more valuable than searching, okay? The people that you know, the family, the friends, they're all out there. They're at night and during the day, whenever they're on their phones, they're on their iPads, they're on their laptops, searching homes.com, realtor.com, trulia.com, zillow.com, every .com out there. And where does all that information come from? MLS. So does that mean that all that information is the same as MLS? Absolutely not. Especially now, today, more than ever. Properties are selling so fast that if you don't know about a property that hit the market today, by the time you see it on any of those others, it's going to be already under contract. Your website is directly fed from the MLS. So if they go to your website to search and something went on the market today at 3 o'clock and they're on at 5, they know about it. Okay, if they wait to find it on Zillow, Realtor.com, any of those others, they might not see it till Monday or Tuesday. By then it's already in contract, one under contract on Saturday. So teach your people, your friends, your sphere of influence to use your website if they're looking for something, or to refer the people that they know that are interested in real estate to use your website, and that will bring them to you one step closer, and it's free. I pay for it, okay? And that's an expensive thing. Giving you a website is pretty inexpensive. Giving you a website that is tied in real time to the MLS is not inexpensive, okay? And I pay for that, and that's so that you guys can have something to offer of value, right? So I pay for that. All the training, you never pay for training. Everything we offer, everything we do, nothing costs you $1. So the only way this company succeeds, or that I make any money, is when you make money. So anything that we can do to help make it better for you to succeed is what we're all about. And I think that everything that we set up here will do that, and it won't cost you any money. I mean, if you decide to start doing postcards, it'll cost you a little bit of money. But everything else we've talked about today is free. The CRM that you need, well, I'm giving that to you for free, okay? So all the tools are there. All you got to do is work it. So I'm not asking you to come out of pocket. Don't go buy nothing. Go do nothing. Don't buy any lists. Just work what I'm telling you to do here. Do it for free, and you will find success. I guarantee it. It comes in all different time frames and all different sizes as far as deals. I mean, I've got one broker that hasn't even been with us. Well, he's probably been with us maybe 2 months now. He's already closed, not listed, closed a property for $925,000. And he's got 3 more on the fence just waiting for when they're ready to sell. But they're all going to come up in the next 60 days. 3 more that are over 750 and under $1 million. So he's making a lot of money in a hurry.
Sphere of
And-
influence makes a lot of money too.
Well, it is. He has a great sphere of influence. And again, that's the other thing. It takes just as much effort to close something for $925 as it takes to close something for $110. So it takes a little bit of, to make some of those numbers sometimes, if your average is being sucked down by lower priced things, maybe these numbers come down. But for everyone that maybe sucks it down, you might have something that pulls it up, and keep that in mind. I mean, not that I'm saying you don't want to, again, I'm telling you, you want to do every deal that comes your way. But if you're out there, you will get those kind of opportunities. You just can't look for only those, but they will come. And those are the best, you know, for all of us. Makes for nice commission checks. So, so I think that's probably enough for today. What time is it? 8 o'clock? All right.
56.
7:56. Perfect. I said 6 to 8. So anybody have any questions before we go? As far as anything I brought up or what to do, how to get something done?
The CRM, you can, I think there's 3 different things you can label your people.
Track, yep.
How much does it cost to upgrade that?
So, well, now realize that those 3 different categories, that is for where they are in the process, okay? If they're just people in your sphere of influence that you're tracking, you're probably not going to put them in there, okay? You're only putting in there like active buyers, active sellers, and maybe really close. So that would give you your 3 categories. But if you want to go to more, it's $10. $10 a month. It's actually 20, but if I put it on my account, it's only 10. So what we do is if you want it, we'll just do the upgrade for you and then just bill you for it. I think we've been doing it like quarterly. Because if it's on my credit card, then they do it for less because it's just billed with the rest of the charges. So anybody, if you start dealing with the CRM, she's asking about the upgrade. It's $10 a month. What we give you is free. The upgrade, once you get rolling, you might want to pursue it because it gives you the opportunity to have more deals working at one time. If you have 5 or more active deals, you might want to upgrade. But for anybody starting out right now, you don't have to. It's free. But if you want, just let me know. We'll add you to the corporate account, and then it's $10 a month.
I was just thinking of it because I have a lot, like I listed a rental and I got a ton of leads out of that. And I don't want to lose them, but they're not my sphere of influence, but I want to keep them in there and keep track of them.
Yeah,
And I have a lot of
absolutely.
other people like that.
But add them to
Instagram.
your sphere of influence.
Yeah,
Yeah,
trying.
yeah.
I had one asking me what the password was for her kid for CPS login today. I'm like, we don't have that information, but.
All right, nobody else? All right, well, thanks for coming. We'll see you next week, and you can tell me how much you've put together, what kind of numbers you got. That's the number one thing. If you could just make sure that next Wednesday, you can tell me how many people are in your sphere of influence, and yes or no, I worked it every day or not. Just start with that, okay? That'll be our first step towards forward progress, all right? So thanks for coming. Thanks for watching.